2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Early contests build momentum for 2024 contenders seeking the White House. C-SPAN offers unfiltered coverage of events leading into early primaries and caucuses. Get access to speeches and results with the free app, C-SPAN Now, or watch live on the C-SPAN networks.
A world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions. Only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers post-game show where the Panthers pull out a big victory over the Cardinals, going to 2-2 now, continuing their tie for second place in the division as the Saints advance today, as well as the Buccaneers. But man, what a good day for Panther fans and a good day for this team as they continue to get better from week to week. And we've got a lot of positive things to say. It's just two of us this week. It's just me and CK here today, man. I'm glad you could make it to the C3 Panthers podcast. And I don't even have your camera pulled up, so hold on. Somewhere in here, you live and exist in my stream. But I don't know where it's at just yet. We got two, but there we go. There we go. Holy cow. I was not ready. I was unprepared.
He wasn't ready.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm glad to be here, guys, and it's going to be hard to shit on anything today. You know, right? We've as a podcast definitely kind of teeter-tottered on despair in the past a few weeks, but you know, the last 2 weeks has definitely given us some hope. Hopefully, not false hope, because I don't know if I have it in me to go another season after the last 2 seasons where we looked like we were going to do something, and then halfway through the season it just crumbled. Hopefully, that's not something we're going to have to deal with. But today, full of hope.
The good news about that is that when our expectations in the past have been so elevated. And that's what really hurt last season so much, is that we thought that there was going to be an opportunity for the team to make a real push, right? And we thought that was going to be with some real improvements around the defense last year. And that turned out not only was the Cam Newton injury a big deal, but also that defense was not what we believed it was going to be. We were just so. The good news about this story is that I won't say I haven't had low expectations. I have low expectations for the team, and it's kind of like realistic expectations. So when they go out, they play well on both sides of the ball, right? The coaching is good on both sides of the ball in every facet. It is heartening, right? It is very heartening, and that's the idea. Is that and for me, the success of this season did not hinge on W's. It really didn't. The W's are they are wonderful. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I want them. But the success of this season was for me was watching both the coaching staff and the players grow from week to week. And I have to say, through 4 weeks, that has been the story. Right?
Absolutely.
Growth on all sorts sides of the ball. So, look, it's just CK and I holding down the fort today. Cody has an old friend from out of town in that he is entertaining. And so he'll be back on Tuesday. The Bat Daddy, I'm sure, has many projects going on today. We've kind of been throwing this together in the last second. Everybody's busy watching the game. And but the good news is we've got great fans in the chat room. Underground West, Robbie Switzer, Sarah Taylor, Joe Riolano, Low Country Cannabis, Tinge Ginger, Trunk Coleman, J-Dub in the house, Humble Flip No Fool. All of you guys, we appreciate your support on the C3 Panthers podcast. Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Share the show with a friend, one link. Tell them to be a part of our community. And support the show by calling in. The number's 252-228-5098. There's going to be, I think, a lot of happiness here today and hopefully in the calls. Nick Montiero in the house as well. Welcome to the C3 Panthers podcast. All right, let me see. The final score, let me go pull the game book up. The Panthers advance. They get their second win of the season. And for me, the storyline has continued to be improvement from week to week. The final score, 31-21. And really what is a game that I was surprised that the Arizona Cardinals weren't better today. And the good news about that is the reason I think they weren't better is because we saw the Panthers won on two components of this game. The offense and defensive lines were great, right? And that's the story is that, you know, the fear is that Kyler Murray, coming off of his worst performance of his career, arguably, last week in Detroit, throwing 3 picks, should have had 4 last week. The thought was that was going to be a humbling opportunity. And when you match that receiving core up against our secondary, there were some concerns, but those concerns were eradicated because the defensive line was able to not only contain Murray for the most part outside of one really impressive 49-yard run or whatever it was, but they were able to contain and get pressure on him to where these plays couldn't develop, right? Yeah. And so we weren't getting beat over the top. There wasn't an opportunity for them to expose our secondary because there was a constant pressure up the middle from the edges. And so for me, I'm not sure what the impact of having KK Short was back specifically. Like, I don't know how we're going to look at his play, but I feel like it maybe took some pressure, or we saw Derek Brown early in that game making some big tackles in the backfield, as well as the edge guys, the youngins. Gross Matos had a big day, and Brian Burns was playing angry today. What'd you see on that defensive line, CK?
I saw a very last week I said we won because the other team made mistakes, right? That was it. We didn't win because we did anything special. We won because the other team made mistakes. They weren't doing their job. The other team today was doing their job. Our team was just stopping it. And so what I'm a big fan of, and this is going to irk every single person in the building, Marty Herney's draft is good. He's got Gross Matos. You've got Chin. You've got Brown. All of them are playing at a high. Pride has been making some moves out there. Let's go ahead and look at it from that reality. Yes, our defense, first week of the year, bad. Second week, not great. Third week, looking good. This week, they looked great, right? And let's look at it from this perspective. The wide receivers had less. All the wide receivers, their receiving core had less yards than I think Robbie Anderson, at least in the first half, if not nothing else. Like, they did not have a great receiving day, and you would think against our secondary that was the case with Eli Apple even going out. For whatever reason, I don't even think we saw him on the field, but apparently he was, and he re-injured that hamstring. But I think 100% the biggest thing that I think we should take away from this is our team is growing and is getting better. And I said it last week, and I said it even in the second week. It's not all doom and gloom, right? I think that once Teddy Bridgewater meshes with his receivers, they get their timing down, things are going to work. And I think that's also something you could double down with that defense. And now that the Gross Matos was able to play today, K'Wan Short's in there. You guys don't forget that we now have our leader back on the defense, on that defensive line. And even though he may not be making plays, that don't take away what his leadership on that line is going to be. So 100%, I think that, and especially with every single game that we've played has been competitive. The only one that might not even be considered competitive might have been the Bucks game. But if we won that Bucks game right now, you guys got to remember we would be leading the division right now.
Kyler Murray only had 133 passing yards. DeAndre Hopkins led their team with 7 catches, 41 yards. So he really kept him. And he was battling an ankle injury. And some people have questioned if his game is over the top as much as it used to be. But they didn't really have time to expose their team. They did get Christian Kirk back. They didn't have opportunities to expose the Panthers secondary or to pick on it. So I think here is something else is we got to commend Phil Snow. I think that, is that we were knee-jerkish as Panther fans, or not everybody, but, you want things to look great immediately. But this defense wasn't supposed to look great this year, right? I mean, we didn't want them to look like fools out there. But, I mean, if you really think about the secondary and not really having a lot of parts there, right? I mean, Dante Jackson's your best corner. We didn't know what we were going to get out of Dante Jackson. I think it's a credit to this coaching staff that Dante Jackson's playing so well and feels comfortable. He looks like he wants, he's doing the team type of things that maybe some people said he wasn't responding to well. It's very hard for us to know what's going on behind the scenes, right? But here, the Snow defense is this guy has been in football for a long time. He's coached at a lot of different levels. I was not a believer that he didn't know enough to be a good defensive coordinator. And I think what we're seeing is that he's actually very, very good in coaching these younger players and getting a lot out of them this week. I want to raise a couple of things, examples of this. The story is it's like a tale of 2 different weeks when it comes to this team. And last week, the Chargers were like 70% on third down. This week, the Cardinals go 3 for 9. They were 33%, which was very much what we were last week. And then us, a tale of 2 different teams. This week, we were 7 for 11, 64% on third down. And on the offensive side, we were putting the ball in the end zone, which was much different than last week. But continuing with the defense, just quickly, one of the things that Derek Burns started to make a difference more than just on the outside today.
Yeah. Are you talking about Brian Burns?
Yes, that's it. Yeah, I look at Derek Brown, and I have Derek Brown and Brian Burns. Derek Burns. Brian Burns, though, showed, and this is what I wanted to see, and this is what I want to see from week to week, too, is not only the team getting better as a whole, but also individual players getting better. And Brian Burns had a big game last week, but some of it I was concerned was a little bit based on Herbert's deep dropbacks, and it kind of set him up for success. But today we saw him swim inside a little bit more. They highlighted one move that he's, faked the outside rush.
Nice
then
move,
moves inside. And now, is he going against the best offensive line at this point? Probably not, but we're starting to see him develop. And he made a big play, a big run stop in the backfield late in that game. So I was happy with that. Yeah, and on top of that, I was very happy to see, again, this secondary is playing much better than we expected. On top of that, I think a lot of that is the Cardinals did not establish the run. That was the thing. Even though they had a lot of rushing yards, I think that that's the only way that the one way that you're going to really start to poke holes into the Panthers defense is when the offense of the other team is able to establish the run up the middle. I don't know how much KK and these obviously they're doing well, but the Cardinals have never been, from what I've seen on the tape and watched in the early games, that committed to the run, which that then gives us the opportunity as a secondary to really kind of just keep the players or the receivers in front of them. Hey, and it works, and it works, and it works. So I was very happy to see that. The other story to me today, kind of an unsung story, and that is this offensive line. Did Teddy, let's see how many sacks that this defense had for the Arizona Cardinals. Let's see total rushing plays. Let's see. Sacks. Where are you? Sacks. Hey, sacks, where are you? Where are those big Teddy B? They had 0 sacks today, right? So the Panthers did not give up a sack today. Very impressive, this offensive line, the play that we've been getting out of it. And that has given Teddy an opportunity to play well, right? And this is what happens when you are able to there was nothing spectacular today on the offense, but that's fine, right? Is that these guys, they moved the ball. I wouldn't even say it wasn't boring, but I wouldn't even say vanilla. It just worked, right? Not only was it a combination of good play calling, good play by the offensive line, Mike Davis had a successful day. Teddy Bridgewater was fine. Now, I mean, was he able to really dominate in a deep game? No, we haven't seen that. And it's just not his game, maybe. And that is we just have to, if we can play well with what we've got, then let's be excited about that. Robbie Anderson continues to demonstrate that he is this team's number one. Some concerns to me about DJ Moore's development. I just want to see, I would love for him to just break out and be awesome, but he has just been okay at best and continued. This was the Robbie Anderson show when it comes to the receiving core, and it is just, hey, run the ball. Today, this is what we saw, and it's almost like, and this is a good sign from this coaching staff, and for Joe Brady, who's a young offensive coordinator. He might be bright and brilliant and all this, but he's wet behind the ears in many ways. Some of the things that we hadn't been doing to kind of get into the end zone, we had kind of gotten we would get sunk or stuck in the middle of the field. These rollouts, right? The rollouts for Teddy Bridgewater created time and opportunity. So it was a big deal. It was just good from top to bottom. So happy to see that, and it's happy to get a good win on the board against not the most dominant opponent, but you got to play the people on your schedule, right? You get an opportunity. These are the games we need to win, right? If we're going to have, kind of keep up. First of all, we're keeping pace. So very excited. Like J-Dub says, Rule is building something special. Can't wait to add more talent. We could be scary soon. Yeah, it might not take long for this team to make improvements, right? So very excited about that. The number's 252-228-5098. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the cat calls and see what you guys got to say.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey, what's going on, C3? Dave from Brooklyn. How we doing, huh? Hey, looking good, Toots. I love a good cat call. You know what I'm saying? But, I'm watching this offense right now, and I gotta say, this Mike Davis kid is a fucking horse, dude. Fucking hitting people so hard that the stripes are coming off his helmet, making me feel okay on a Sunday for once. But for real, Dante Jackson, every game with the problems. Oh, my God. This defense gives me indigestion. Hopefully I don't have to go to the store and get some Tums before this game is over. Oh, let's go Panthers, and I keep pounding.
Thank you for the call, man. Great call right there. Keep pounding. The number's 252-228-5098. Mike Davis, right? Now, we have lost our best player, right? And the analytics people are jumping up and down to tell you that running backs don't matter as much. Who the running back is, the position's important, but who plays it is not that big of a deal. And that's understandable in some ways, right? But again, I think a lot of our success in the running game has come from really a more impressive offensive line. Today you saw it, and they highlighted it in the game talk, whoever was doing the color commentary about these guards that were pulling and getting to the second level without, getting, tripped up basically by a D tackle on the way up there.
Yeah.
So,
no, our offensive line did a phenomenal job. And I know a lot of people want to have the conversation about Christian McCaffrey and whether he was worth that money. You guys got to remember, Christian McCaffrey is so much more than a running back. Mike Davis caught one, maybe two passes. He was not.
Did he? I thought he's been pretty good in the past. I mean, he's fine. He's been.
But my point is,
he had
is that
5 catches today.
Christian McCaffrey is a game. You have to plan for Christian McCaffrey. I think having Christian McCaffrey out is going to be a blessing for this team 100%. And I said that when we found out he was going to be out. I said, we're going to have other people getting opportunities. You're going to see the ball being spread to other people other than Christian McCaffrey. So when he comes back, well, guess what? They don't just have Christian McCaffrey to plan for anymore. They have to plan for everybody that's doing, now they have to think about Robbie Anderson, as he's been a beast in the secondary. You got to think about Mike Davis being in there if there's a 2 running backfield. What are they going to do? I mean, because both of them can run. It's not like it was the first year when Christian McCaffrey was in the league. When Jonathan Stewart was in, it was a run. When Christian McCaffrey was in, it was a pass. It was almost every time. There was no disguise to it. They knew what to expect. And so now we're allowing that. I don't think that saying that Christian McCaffrey was not it wasn't smart to pay him. I think it was very smart to pay him, but I think it's also very smart to have a running back that's a second back like Mike Davis in the backfield with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things is that for the last couple of years, it's just been so difficult to take Christian McCaffrey out, period, because he's been so effective, right, at any point. And that doesn't mean that other guys aren't effective either. And Mike Davis has showed you that this guy's playing hard. He reminds me, he's wearing 28 out there. He looks more like a Mike Tolbert dancing bear out there. He is a big fella, and he's not slow. So
dude, he had some moves today.
Yeah, he is fleet of foot for a big fella.
100%.
No sacks today. I mentioned this while you stepped away to get your food. By the way, CK orders food 2 hours ago. Just showed up. So eat. I know you're starving. The idea, though, was we didn't give up any sacks today, right?
Yeah, that's amazing. And Greg Little was that left tackle all game. I think pretty much, wasn't he? I don't think I saw anybody else at left tackle.
I saw Greg Little out there the whole game. I didn't notice him not there. So that's a big deal because after last week too, which we were wondering, did he get benched for performance? What was it? And he came in. They invested in him this week. They probably gave him the reps all week long, and were able to show some confidence in him. J-Dub in the house, man. Good point. 58 people watching. We need to get those 20 likes up. It's thumb shaming right now. Thumbs up, thumbs down, you pick it. Thumbs up, thumbs down, you pick it. And it will help us grow. The number's 252-228-5098. One of the things that I do, somebody highlighted this, is in the chat room, is that we're surprised by Robbie Anderson's versatility a little bit, right? Is that, and this is the thing, is Robbie Anderson has really been that two catches, 100 yards and a touchdown guy for the Jet, just this one note over the top. Now, the question is why is he not winning deep down the field? And some of it, I think, has to do with the ability to push the ball and the deep threat. But he's been great for this team. He's been a versatile, really a possession receiver, very important to this team so far. And what I like, and somebody mentioned, is that both Matt Rule and Robbie Anderson, Mike Davis, these guys got fight in them. They've faced adversity before, and they play tough. They play hard each week, and I think that's something good to see about this team as we continue to grow. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next call. I got to download it, actually. I'm a little behind here. But, yeah, the offensive line can, Paradis playing well. Had to come out for a series of downs, but you didn't. Now, I know their pass rush isn't the most intimidating in the world, the Cardinals, but it's nice when you are not seeing that offensive line for the first time in a long time be a major liability.
G3, what it do? It's your boy Mike, a.k.a. Supreme Alita.
What's up, Mike?
Woo. All right, real quick. I'm going to ice up Spectrum. I need to do that because they replaced my old router with one of theirs, and they guaranteed I would get the speeds I'm paying for and all that. But my connectivity sucks. Wi-Fi goes in and out, and I'm not getting what I pay for. So
it's the worst.
Yeah,
I've been through this.
I
lived this.
All right. How about them Panthers? The game is counting down. Mike Davis just had a big first down, so felt comfortable walking away. This defense is growing like a sweet baby pineapple plant right before our eyes. The stars, the quote unquote stars of our defense are showing up. That's all we need. That's all we need. To our offense, who have seemed to finally find, some sort of identity out there. Finally scoring touchdowns instead of field goals. Just going to say that Teddy was showing that big D today. Still a little off on a couple of those throws, but he's starting to gel up with this offense. So shout outs to Teddy's big D. Those boys behind CMC are playing their roles, and they're toting the rock in his absence. Please don't rush back McCaffrey rule. Please.
No need.
We've won our 2 games without him so far. Let's keep this ball rolling. Penalties do need to be addressed. Had a lot out there today, so hopefully they get back.
Especially at the end. I think we were getting tired at that point a little bit.
Yeah, so big shout out to all the Panthers fans out there. Let's keep these good vibes going. We belong. They will respect our authority. Keep pounding.
Nice
Panther
call,
pride
Mike.
till I die. Woo!
Supreme leader bringing the heat today. Is that this was a good all-around game, and it was balanced. Oh, one other thing, we point out this. We said we highlighted some good things. Some really good improvements from last week's game. We highlighted third down conversions. We highlighted the offensive line's performance, not giving up a single sack. Here's another one. We only punted the ball once today. Right? That's a good thing. That's a good thing. And one of the reasons and one of the ways to beat these teams that are kind of predicated on offensive explosiveness, that's what I think a Kingsbury-led team wants to be, is like a high-flying, high-scoring, fast-playing offense. The way to beat those guys and to get them out of rhythm is to keep them off the field. And we saw drive after drive in this game just go on and on for the Panthers in that offense. And that's kind of the benefit of not having big explosive plays at times, is that when you just are 8, 6, 7 yards, moving the field, the clock's running, grinding it down. You got to have Kyler Murray over there with that little patch on his chin, whatever he's wearing. That's a way that you can beat a lot of teams, and it really helps your defense. Doesn't that help your defense from, you keep them fresh, you get they're able. So it's a big deal. A really good game today for the Panthers all around. From top to bottom, from Teddy Bridgewater and his accuracy. Let me see. What was he? Teddy Bridgewater today threw. It was 26 for 37. He had one interception. Yeah, it's just the 276. This is what they want.
He should have had. He had the one. He should have had 3 total. He should have had 3 interceptions because there was like 2 other opportunities where like the defensive linemen had, like the defense had their hands on it and just was not able to come down with it.
Yeah, that Curtis Samuel catch was, close. Wasn't there one that was intercepted, but he didn't get his feet down?
Yeah, there was Patrick
in the end zone?
Peterson. Peterson got one of those. And then there was another one they were playing zone, and Teddy threw it right into triple coverage, and somebody broke on it and just dropped the ball.
And there was one that at the beginning where that you saw that defensive lineman bat the ball down where it came like flying back. If you would have seen where he was throwing it, it looked like it was going to be intercepted if he wouldn't have batted it down. So it was like almost a lucky break for us. But
yeah,
even despite that, coulda, woulda, shouldas, you would have.
Yeah.
I'm sure their defense wants those back, but that's what you brought in Bridgewater to do. Nothing insane, but today's a big game for him. 2 passing touchdowns. He had a rushing touchdown. I think that, let's see, when you look at this, Reggie Bonifant, another, is like he brings a little spark and some burst into that. He's a straight line runner. He is.
Yeah.
He don't have any jukes or moves or cuts or anything like that.
No.
But my man he is. It's exciting to have that 1-2 punch. I hope they continue to figure out.
I said it last week. We were talking about how we liked what Mike Davis did last week, and it was not even close to the same production that he had this week. And I said we need to have him be basically like a Jonathan Stewart was to D'Angelo Williams, and that is, there's one that is clearly better than the other. D'Angelo Williams was clearly better than Jonathan Stewart, and Christian McCaffrey is clearly better than Mike Davis. Nobody's going to be able to argue that fact. There is no. You could sit here and argue that he got a 1-yard touchdown run when Christian McCaffrey may have gotten stuffed at the line, but at the same time, everything else points to Christian McCaffrey being the better back. But it needs to be a 1-2 punch. You have to have that in this league, and you're seeing it with the successful teams. The 49ers last year. Do you remember who was their primary running back? I don't. It was down
the stretch, it was
Kevin Smith, Mostert.
Yeah, or whatever his name. And then they had 4. They had 4 backs last year that were productive. The Mostert, whatever that dude's name is.
Mostert, yeah.
He's hurt right now. He's turning out to be really a good player.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm actually a little stunned that you said it was so clear that D'Angelo was the better back out of Jonathan Stewart. You're that confident that you feel that way? I feel
absolutely.
I think it's almost a tale of 2 careers in some ways. I feel like Jonathan Stewart had the better back end of the career.
That part I will agree with, but that's also when he wasn't having.
Did have some success in Pittsburgh too, as well.
Yeah. Well, D'Angelo Williams was much.
He was more available. He was more available.
He wasn't injured.
He was
as
a
much.
home run hitter to start.
Yeah, and Jonathan Stewart was consistent, but he also got hurt a lot. But Jonathan Stewart, outside of that first season when he was double trouble with D'Angelo Williams, the best season he had after that was the 2015 season. And every other season between that was okay. It wasn't great. I don't think I recall him having a phenomenal season outside of the 2015 season.
08, yeah, the 08 year and the 2015 were good, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was just effective in those 13, 14, 15, those years right after D'Angelo. He was somewhat effective, and he was able to stay somewhat healthy in that period.
Yeah,
and for a career that had been so plagued by injuries, and he still dealt with them throughout his time. He's always not practicing and some stuff like that. But all right, we'll go on to the next call. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's see what you guys got to say about this game today.
What's up, C3? Chef Jeff here.
What's up, Chef Jeff?
Great win today. But I don't want everybody on here to say I'm not a fucking Panthers fan when I say this, right? Because I am, goddammit. I'm a long-term Panthers fan who wants to get a fucking franchise quarterback, like the one we had, and just let go of. That's what I want out of this, okay? Winning games against Arizona isn't going to get us in that place. I'm sorry. I'm glad they won. I'm glad they looked great. It was a good, complete game. Defense looked great. Opening drive, touchdown, all that. Great. Awesome. I'm glad that it's building. But look, we cannot go fucking like 6-10 or 7-9 or 5-11 and
Or
expect
8-8.
to get the fucking quarterback we need. All right? Panthers fans, bear with me, please. We have to will it. We have to. We're not the only team racing to the bottom for Trevor Lawrence and the 4 or 5 other quarterbacks that are in next year's draft. We're not the only ones. So start racing to the bottom. I mean, I'm not saying tank, but damn, man, we can't. Like I said, we can't go fucking 7-9. If we go 7-9 this year, I am going to be thoroughly pissed. But anyway, it was a great game. Most complete game of the season. They're definitely improving and getting better. Defense looked amazing, but I'm pretty sure that had more to do with Arizona and less to do with our defense. But anyway,
I don't agree with that.
Trying to be positive. Prayers for Cam. I'm sure he'll get over the COVID shit in like 3 days or whatever. I guess that's all I really got. See you guys on Tuesday. I'll be listening to the post game. Keep pounding.
I'm not rooting for anybody to get COVID. But I kind of wish, or kind of, that's the wrong word. If President Obama got COVID right now, the 3 most polarizing people in my life would all have COVID together. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that Cam Newton,
Donald Trump,
Barack Obama, and Donald Trump? Is like you bring them up, and it's like the most polarizing conversation in the world. I don't know. I don't like here. I understand people's first. Trevor Lawrence, particularly for Cody, who's not able to be on the show today, is it's one thing to have what you believe is going to be the next best great quarterback, but then also to be from your team that you root for, your college team. I'm sure that is very exciting to the idea for Cody. But I don't know, I think this is that if you get the number 1 pick, you get it. But is that like, you don't really want to be that bad as a team. Because it's really hard to get out. It's like once the smell of shit gets on you or in your nose, it's hard to get it out. And and there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of times where people don't pan out, and it could be injury. It could be that you didn't get your guy, so you go with this other guy, and you get the Blake Bortles of the draft. And I'm not saying that Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. I haven't seen enough of Justin Fields to really have an opinion yet. For me, so I'm just listening to what other people are saying. But I don't like that idea. And I do get it's very hard to change a franchise quickly through the draft when you are always stuck in that 11, 15, 25 purgatory.
Yeah.
But there are ways to improve and to win through the draft and through free agency without having a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
And right now, I think we got to do this is that if we can't get a quarterback of the future that you think is going to be it. Now, look, Cam Newton did turn our franchise around too. So let's not act like having a number 1 pick doesn't help. When you get it right, it does help.
Yeah.
But I would be just right now at this point, I'm starting, you got to wonder, are you a left tackle away from being pretty darn good in some ways? And I just don't. I mean, look, Teddy's not a long-term answer, and if he is, it's just going to be like winning, like the Saints are winning now.
Yeah,
which is
just slants and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they were talking about. I remember I was watching a stat that said Teddy Bridgewater has one of the most, like in ranking the people with the deep arm accuracy. And it was like because Teddy hit 3 of his 5 deep balls, like that traveled more than 20 yards. I don't think he hit 1 today, did he? I know he had some longer completions, but
he's not pushing the ball down the field. But
he's tried. They're early on.
He was 24 yards. Yeah, they were going. It's almost like you could hear. They were asked. Joe Brady was asked in his press conference about Teddy? Is partially him? Is him kind of taking those underneath by choice? Is it is it because it's not there? And Joe Brady was very diplomatic in that approach, or like a coach should be. He's not going to be like, well, Teddy Bridgewater don't got the arm strength to take advantage of it, or he's too cautious. He is a little cautious in many ways, and that's okay too. I think that's the type of player they expect him to be. But you're right. It was at the beginning. There felt like there was more of a concerted effort to get the ball down the field quicker. Yeah. And the problem is that he was missing them. He missed. He was just that.
But he wasn't like egregiously missing them. That's the other part.
Right.
Like he was not like
just
he
a yard
was
or
not
two
overthrowing it by 15 yards. Like Josh Allen had been the past 3 years. He was just mistiming their routes, or mistiming their like that Mike Davis throw there towards the end. He just out of the reach of Mike Davis out there, and it was not a bad play. He was open. And then Robbie Anderson, he was open. He was going to get clocked if he got the ball.
Oh,
but
he was going to get destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was open. He had the opportunity. And so the thing that I think we need to take away from this is once Teddy does get that accuracy of the deep ball on point, our receivers are getting open. Like they're talking about it. I mean, today, all the passes, aside from a few that were very misguided throws by Teddy Bridgewater, were to open receivers. And then there was that one really good one to Curtis Samuel there when it was a third down. Just slid it in there. Like that was one of the best throws I think I've seen Teddy Bridgewater make. And that was just a 10-yard, get the first down type of thing. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does, but a lot of people want to, address the tank job. And there is no way we're tanking. I said it when we got Rule. Number one, he does not have the tank mentality. He is not that type of a, coach. He is not going to do that. The way that they approached free agency told me they were not tanking. You don't sign a quarterback to a 3-year deal if you're trying to get your franchise quarterback at the end of this one. Like it just doesn't happen. You don't sign a running back like Christian McCaffrey to the type of deal you're talking about if your plan is to not win this season.
Yeah, you start doing some shit like Miami has done, and that is trading those.
Just get rid of everybody. Get everybody out. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I bet this is one other thing is that Teddy has the opportunity to get better from week to week as well. Like we can't
that's what I'm saying.
Act like we've seen exactly what he is entirely. We don't know entirely what Teddy Bridgewater is because we haven't seen him. Like somebody said, he suffered a catastrophic injury, and he has been kind of in the backup purgatory land. So we don't know. He started to run the ball today, and these weren't designed runs or anything like that. But is he gaining confidence from week to week? And how does that affect his ability to take those shots when they're there down the field? But you're right, they were just a little off. I find this hard to believe, but I mean, hey, I trust J-Dub here. He says Teddy came into the game top 5 in deep ball accuracy.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But it was only out of 5 throws. He only thrown 5 this year.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So it's got to. Yeah. So yeah. Look, I'm very excited. I think really, you're right. Is that it's not in the DNA of. I don't think it's a DNA of any professional to tank. I mean, I know that maybe GMs can start thinking about that through contract processes and this and that. But if your DNA is in the locker room or in the meeting rooms is not to do exceptional every week, then you got a bunch of bums on your coaching staff and on your and your staff. So is that whether or not we're going to win a lot is not whether or not we are choosing to tank. And again, the measurement for me for the Matt Rule era or to start was us getting better from week to week. And that started with him and his staff. And I think we've seen that. I think that Joe Brady has been brilliant so far. I think his play calling, like now, I don't want to, when I say I don't know enough about X's and O's to be like, this is what quantifies him as a genius.
100%.
But for me, I have an eye test. And if it feels panicked, If it feels reactionary, that's a problem. If it feels too aggressive or too conservative, and we saw this with old offensive coordinators, it was either so vanilla, right, or so or with the like Ron Rivera, it was like right when he was about to get fired, it was like, all right, it's time to be Riverboat Ron and go for it on fourth down every time. I think what you have to do is just have balance, and I think at times, right at the beginning of this game, there was some, we come out throwing the ball on the first play of the game, and you go, oh man, is this going to be one of those like, spread them out games? And no, like then we fed Mike Davis, and then as soon as he started getting hot, we started poking away at their secondary. And on third, when we had a lead, we're up 17, and we come out throwing on first down. It was very 100%. Much like the play action last week, and when we're trying to grind the clock down. So I've been very excited what I've seen by Joe Brady. I wanted to, and I know that we have this ability in these types of forums to make judgments about people before we see them. And I have been cautiously optimistic about Joe Brady. I wanted to see. And he's living up to the hype, and I think even more so because I think it's just more balanced and just it's very polished looking.
Yeah. No, it looks like they know what they're doing. Like there is no confusion. They seem to actually have practiced efficiently instead of, what I feel like we see a lot of times with Ron Rivera's teams was, if another team did something, we didn't have an answer. We never did. There was no readjustment, right? And it just seems like we were making play calls that were intelligent today. And that's not calling Ron Rivera dumb. I think Ron Rivera is just old school. And that's, something that's hard to really succeed in this NFL. Hence, you're seeing what's happening to Washington, even though they have a great defense and, what would seem to be an offense that should be able to make, at least more than the progress that they had been making. So I think that there's a lot of positives. And I have I want to make a question. Did Curtis Samuel save his career with that catch?
I know he did. What he saved face with all the Curtis Samuel lovers, right?
Yeah,
it was a great catch.
Yeah, I mean he had some good moves, and there was, in my opinion, I think the issue is his ability to be on the field is being limited because of when you have Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. I am worried that DJ Moore may lose the number one spot.
I think he already has. I think Robbie Anderson is the clear number one on this team.
Yeah, DJ Moore. It's weird to me because I haven't watched a lot of tape on him, but I don't know what his quality of routes are right now. I feel like he should be good and he should be better and he should be getting the ball and they should be trying to get the ball to him more often than they are. And my biggest worry is that Robbie Anderson is becoming Christian McCaffrey for Teddy Bridgewater, like what Christian McCaffrey was for Josh Allen last year. Or not Josh, Kyle Allen.
DJ Moore was for for.
Well, I'm just saying like a security blanket, or like Greg Olsen was for Cam Newton. Is that easy out that is going to be there if you need it, but it's making you not want to read to other opportunities. I don't think he's a one-read quarterback, but I do think that he is always looking for Robbie, and it's not a bad thing. Robbie's doing great.
I think it's less. Well, I won't say security blanket. I think Robbie's just played well. He's played well at everything they've asked him to do. He's been exciting. He's blocked. Dude, as soon as we run the ball, the first thing he does, we threw that. I think it was the Mike Davis touchdown. Robbie Anderson, and it might have been a swing pass or something like that. I don't remember if it was a run play. Robbie Anderson's tough. He plays every down hard. I've been disappointed with DJ's play this year, and it's not for me to disappoint. Like he's not going to go home and cry himself to sleep because I'm disappointed. Yeah. But I wanted to see him get better in this stage of his career and getting better from week to week. And he's dropped a lot of those passes that were kind of that felt automatic in the past. Those slants. Yeah. Today he got popped hard. He got popped hard on that. But, you know, I mean, that's when you run those slants, that's what's going to happen. So I thought he was going to be getting. I'm surprised though that still with his lessened play in a way, that Curtis Samuel hasn't been able to make a bigger impact in this offense. And I still find it bizarre when you say we're trying to figure out him to get him in the mix. I don't like, you didn't have to figure out how to get Robbie in the mix.
Well, I'm not saying they're trying to figure it out. I'm saying that they're not doing enough to try to get him into the mix.
I mean, like, and that's the thing, though, is that if you have to figure it out, like, what is the issue? I mean, it's strange.
I don't think there is an issue. I've seen, like, if you see him with the ball in his hands, he is electric. Like, he is always fighting for yards. He is not giving up. He's giving it his all. It's just the issue is, like, the one thing that one really good throw that Teddy Bridgewater threw. I felt like if he had stayed on his feet, he would have gotten many more yards, but he was basically he caught the ball and fell backwards just to make sure he got the first down. And if he had stayed on his feet, he might have gotten 10, 20, 30 extra yards. But I do think that Curtis Samuel has that elusiveness, and you need to get him the ball. Like, you've got to get him the ball in space. The problem is, and the throws they've been giving him have been like, you know, on the out routes where you're going to be facing not only the secondary but the linebackers. You know, you're not giving him that opportunity to get down the field and actually catch the ball. And when you do that, and even like, can we get rid of the wide receiver motion where they hand the ball off? It has not worked at all this season.
Doesn't work. It does
has not worked at all this season.
It only works when you're like really passing the ball effectively and running the ball. You know, like it's kind of a gadget play in so many ways.
Yeah.
But big shout out to Theo Osborne. He says, "Can we win the division?" He sent $10 super chat. Says, "Can we win the division?" I'm looking at the South, and Drew Brees looks 1,000 years old. The Bucks aren't great, and the Falcons are. Well, the Falcons. I think it's gonna. If you look at the schedule, it's gonna be tough. Right, it's gonna be tough. I mean, you never know. Maybe this team catches a little lightning in the bottle. Right. I don't know if we have the horses in the secondary, to really handle big time offenses. And
the reason I think we do. The only reason, and the only one I'm super worried about is the Falcons. I know the Falcons are doing horrible this year, right? But they're moving the ball. It's not their offense. Something's weird about the Falcons. Like, they should, on paper, they should be doing really well, and they're not. But outside of that, the only team that I'm worried about hurting their secondary is them. And you can sit here and look at the game against
in our division, you mean?
Yeah, in our division, because Tom Brady, as the season goes on, he has been known to have his strength in his arm decrease and decrease and decrease. Drew Brees has already seen that decrease in his arm strength, and it's not even week. You know, he hasn't even played 5 games this season. So I'm not worried about our secondary as much as I'm worried about our linebackers in those instances. Our linebackers, if they cannot stop those slot receivers or our nickel corners, even for that matter, if they cannot stop those, tight ends. Now, Brady did get some bombs today, don't get me wrong, but I'm not concerned about our secondary against those guys, just for the fact that I think that their arms are not going to last all season.
Dude, Justin Herbert really lit up the Bucs defense today. I think it's going to be hard. All right, so I'm going to say no, all right, that we can't win the division. Or that we won't. How about that? Not that we can't, that we won't, right? And I think this is that I find is you're right, is something's weird in Atlanta. And the problem, though, is that their offense has been very productive. It's been prolific, actually.
Yeah.
But their defense has been terrible. So could we split with the Falcons? Certainly, right? But there is an opportunity that they could go off, and there's an opportunity we can take both. I think here the problem is what I saw today is that the Bucs' main, I guess, defensive liability is over the top.
Yeah.
And right now, until we figure out how to either develop the chemistry or develop the game plan that it can exploit that, it's going to be very difficult when they are not scared of us over the top. And so that Justin Herbert almost beat the Bucs today. That's the thing. Is he was throwing these deep bombs.
To be fair, they should have. They just let them score 28 unanswered points. So that defense was still hurting just like they were last week against us.
But for me, is that there's some teams on the schedule right now that I won't say scare me, but yeah, is that I don't really think the Panthers match
I think scare
up
you
well.
is the absolute word you should be using.
When you talk about having to play the Chiefs, obviously, I think the Lions, we don't match up well with them defensively. I think we could have some problems with this passing game. But I'm not like scared. I think for me, it's the Chiefs and the Packers. But I tell you, the schedule doesn't look as difficult as it did preseason, right? Mm-mm. Until we see these teams, right? The Saints look vulnerable at times. Like it's not. We could actually beat. I was thinking, at the beginning of the year, we were thinking there's no way you split with the Saints.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
now it seems possible.
I think it does I think it seems possible unless they decide to sit Drew Brees. And I know that sounds really odd. If you get Drew Brees out of there and you can actually run the offense you want to run, which is deep balls, getting Michael Thomas out in a much bigger way as opposed to these dink and dunks, I think at that point, yes. I think the if they have a quarterback in Taysom Hill or whoever they have as their technical backup or Jameis Winston, I know that sounds weird. I'd be afraid of Jameis Winston in this division with a coach like Sean Payton being able to revive his career. So I think that would be the only thing I'd be worried about.
Looking at the schedule, I say this is actually this week going on the road to Atlanta might be a large determinant of our success this year. Because if you can go into Atlanta and really get Dan Quinn fired, right? You beat a division team, then you get the Bears, and the Bears are the worst 3-0 team that I've seen in a while, right? I mean, I'm not scared, like that's another one. The Panthers, all of a sudden, they would be on a 3-game winning streak. You split, maybe you lose on the road to the Saints. Somehow, maybe you sweep the Falcons. You're going to lose to the Chiefs, probably.
You're going to lose to the Green Bay Packers the way they've been playing.
Yeah, and that's the other team that is like I don't think we match up well because they run the ball well and they have a quarterback that is just crazy good with and he plays aggressively. Like he sees it, he sees the matchup, and he throws to the spot and he gives his guys an opportunity to win. And Tree 50 come in, great win. I don't have any negatives on this game. I agree. The Broncos, the Vikings, the Lions, and the Washington football team, all winnable games. So right now, all of a sudden, it went from feeling like after that chart, we would be on a 4-game winning streak if we can get past the Falcons and then get past the Bears. That would be crazy. Maybe Greg was right. Maybe 6 games is going to be tough for us. I mean, or possible. If not, so I say, look, we already got 2. We're 2-2. Say you get the Bears is 3. I'll say this, the Vikings is 4. The Broncos is 5, and the Washington football team is 6. If you win against Atlanta, if you split with the Falcons, you're a 7-win team, maybe. That's crazy. It's insane to think that. All right, the number's 252-228-5098. Let's keep going with these cat calls.
Yo, C3, long-time listener, first-time caller, Stack Showman over here. Just saying, all this talk about tank for Trevor, I'm pretty much talking about Teddy touchdowns over here. Looking like we actually have a team, 31 points today on offense. I mean, without Christian, really kind of proves it. I mean, it kind of stinks having DJ Moore on the fantasy team, but Robbie Anderson putting up them points. Gotta love it. Great podcast. Love the show. See ya.
Yeah, thanks for the call. First-time caller, hopefully a long-time caller from now on. Great call. Very to the point there. Teddy Bridgewater. And that's really the story, the difference. We would have, in many ways, we were saying this, and last week we were talking about how the Chargers lost the game. And one of the reasons that they lost the game is because we weren't able to get it in the end zone. And we weren't able to just win the game and take it away from them. Today, we got ahead. Every time we were very productive in the red zone. So this is what we wanted to see, guys. In week 1, the offense came out and was surprisingly, I won't say surprisingly, but did kind of put up some excitement, right? You almost are there with Oakland. You're kind of have an opportunity, not Oakland, Las Vegas. But, okay, so tough home start. But, man, you're really starting to see this offense. You can see where it has some promise. But the defense was atrocious that game, right? Is that we couldn't stop the run to save our life. And then we were letting Derek Carr look fantastic. Yeah. And so then you go into week 2, and, the defense, the offense sputtered. Yeah. Right? And the defense was all right. It was a little bit better, but still you saw the holes, particularly in that run game where we weren't, able to really do much. But then week 3 is a big step for this defense. They started to contain the run more. They started to get some pressure on the quarterback. Yep. Week 4, the defense is really coming, I won't say coming into its own, but making another charge forward. But you're also seeing the offense get a little bit back on track, right? Is that after that Chargers game, it was just hard for us because we couldn't get in the end zone.
Yeah,
and that was the part. Games like that.
And yeah, again, in last week, I think that we saw improvement with our defense. We saw a step back from our offense, I felt like last week, without Christian being in the mix. But I do also think that things were progressing. And I said it last week even in that win. Yes, it may have looked really bad with Teddy. I'm not, like I said, I am hoping he does well. There's never been a part of me that wants to say that I want him to fail because, honestly, I'm a Panthers fan first and foremost. And I think this, and I said last week, I said, if they actually can get their timing, this is a group that's still learning one another. They haven't had the same reps in practice. They haven't had the preseason. They didn't have the things that, most quarterbacks have to get to know their new receivers. And you saw it with Tom Brady even. Tom Brady is just a little bit better of a quality leader, and he had a better backfield and a coach that's been there before. But that first week didn't look like it. Didn't look like it to me when they faced the Saints and they got beat by the Saints. I mean, they did not look like a team.
Tom Brady, he's doing something to me that's uncharacteristic of him, and maybe it's more characteristic of Tom Brady as late. Is not only is he just throwing picks, he's throwing pick sixes.
Yeah, what's that, 2 on the year now?
Yeah, and there was one in that Saints game that was ultimately why they fell behind, and there was one this week. A lot of comments. My buddy Bill from Las Vegas, he said, I'm thinking not having CMC is good for the team right now. You're learning how to walk without the crutch.
Yeah.
And I think, is your divine, it's kind of hard. Sometimes having players that are so great can make your game plan a little imbalanced.
Well, that's why a lot of people think we did well in 2015. We got rid of our biggest weapon, and that was Kelvin Benjamin, which is weird to think about.
He was hurt that year, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I say got rid of, but we didn't have him, and then Cam was forced to. That was the first year Cam didn't have a one guy to throw to outside of Greg Olsen that he could rely on every time to catch the ball.
He had a favorite, for the years before.
Yeah,
and he became a ball distributor. That year is that nobody was great. Everybody had 5-6 catches. I think another thing too, it makes I won't say it takes some pressure off of the play caller.
Yeah.
Like if you got Christian McCaffrey and you're not running the ball, it seems ridiculous, and no matter, but now you can call a run play when you want to run play, call a pass play when pass play is the most effective. Maybe that is, obviously, I think it's given us some confidence and allowing some other guys to step into some positive roles on this team that we need. We need guys to believe in themselves just as much as we do. And I'm certain they do, but you give an opportunity for Mike Davis to be a kind of a motivation to the team. This guy that's had a hard road into the NFL, and he's pumped for the opportunity. You hear Teddy Bridgewater, and they were talking about this on the pregame or during the game coverage about how Mike Davis said, 5 years ago, I would have tried to beat Christian McCaffrey. now I'm just going to try to be Mike Davis. And they said something very similar to Teddy Bridgewater, is that there's a lot of pressure. You're coming in. You got the Cam Newton thing. I'm not Cam Newton. I got to be Teddy BD. So I think, again, I want to give a lot of credit to the coaching staff. And I think I've been pretty consistent with this since we started the season. And that is that I have not seen this team look out of sorts. They haven't looked underprepared. They haven't.
Yeah, they don't. They look like they've been here before.
Yeah,
they don't feel like they're too big. It's too big of a stage for them, which I like. I love, and I think that comes back to. Again, we can have this coaching debate all day, but me and you, I think we've always been on the same side of this. But I think it goes back to coaching. These guys do not feel like they're overwhelmed by the experience. Right.
And clearly in some ways, which is, I think it was Joey the Blind Panther that said this earlier. He said, if you want to get the most out of Ron Rivera, just act like you're going to fire him each week. Yeah. And it was the truth. It was like Ron Rivera's teams were the worst when you felt comfortable about it. Like it was like the worst after he was coach of the year. But one of the things, though, is that there were times where it didn't look like our play callers or the players on the field were on the same page in the past. And this even goes to Cam. How many times did you see the delay of game penalties? And you're like, are they not getting the play in fast enough? People would say it's Cam not being good with the language. It could be all different types of things. We didn't really know. So you get this really young coaching staff. They're not inexperienced, but they have limited experience. And you're right. It doesn't, you know what, is that the game plans have been sound. The players, we're not making giant mistakes. Dante Jackson is a great example of this.
Yeah.
Dante Jackson is that this coaching staff has raved about him, and he has seemed they put a lot and invested a lot in Dante this year because we didn't go and address the James Bradbury departure with anything other than a draft pick and poaching a guy off a practice squad, essentially.
Yeah. They wanted to point out, I think that this is something that we should talk about too, is because I think Dante Jackson, the mistake that people will point out is that pass interference, which was bogus, by the way. Can we talk about how bad the officiating was in this one, by the way?
Yeah, I saw a couple of people mention that we didn't get the calls, that the refs weren't
the false
looking
start
our way.
by Greg Little. People wanted to bury Greg Little over. I'm like, he did not false start. That was the other guy. He was trying to let the refs know that he came off sides. That was all on the other guy. So that made him look bad when it wasn't even him. Dante Jackson did not do a pass interference. And in my opinion, Brian Burns did nothing. He didn't swing at the guy. He just pushed his head down.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how he got it. I could see how he got it, and I could see how he was pissed too that this guy's pushing him and the whole damn play's over. But that's what you do if you're an offensive lineman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get your shot on the quarterback if you're a D lineman, if you can. So yeah, you don't want him to lose his cool like that. I think we were starting to get tired at that point where we're getting those penalties in the last drive. Is like finally they went to that hurry up offense, and it was harder for us to substitute and do some different things. But you're right. I mean, the Dante Jackson, looking at it, when I saw it live, I thought it was PI, right? And that was just because there was a lot of contact. But when you look at it, when they showed it again, to me, it was legal contact. It was legal contact, and maybe it was offensive pass interference.
I think it was more offensive because you saw the extension of the arm. And if Dante Jackson actually did push him, he pushed him closer to the ball, right? So it's not even like that wasn't a catchable ball. I mean, if he had some ability to contort his body to be able to catch that ball, then maybe. But that was just a bad call. I know it was on the 3-yard line, so it's not like this crazy big situation. But, yeah, there were just some calls that – and this is where I think that the best part of this entire game is we did not get lucky. Like, it was not a luck type of a situation. Balls were not just flying into our receivers or our cornerbacks' hands. Balls weren't being dropped and then bouncing our direction, right? It was not the way that it was happening. It was everything we did was us. And I think that is the most encouraging thing is we aren't relying on the fate of the football gods to decide what we're going to be doing that game.
All right, so this was a sound win, right? I highlighted we highlighted our third down efficiency. We were 1 for 1 on fourth down, right? So you got to get a fourth down conversion to kind of win. And I heard a cool coach, this defensive coach, former for East Carolina Pirates. He comes on the same radio station I go on Fridays for Pirate Radio, and he had an interesting way. And I want to go back and write the stats. I was in the car. But he said you want to convert 50% or more of third and sevens.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're in the 3rd and 7, if you are good and having a good day, you'll get 50% or more of those. He's basically said that you want to get 60% of 3rd and 4 and 5, 6 yards, and then 70% of 3rd and 3 and below. Was kind of his way of looking at it. And today I'd be interested to see what our third down conversions were. But we played ahead of the chains the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
We did not have a lot of penalties. It did not feel like unnecessarily. Right. There was the Greg Little one to start at the beginning. But other than that, there was a couple on defense towards the end, but nothing major that was putting us in poor down and distance opportunities. Here's another stat that's very important about this game, and this is how the Panthers are really going to probably have to win against some of these more powerful offenses. Time of possession, we had the ball 37 minutes, and they had the ball 23 minutes. So
unbelievable.
We won the stat categories when it comes to all of these things. You didn't have did we win the turnover battle? Let's see. What did, I don't know if
it was even. It was even because of that interception and then that fumble.
The fumble.
That was,
Okay. And clearly a fumble. And you got to be heartened by Gross Matos play. I mean, I'm excited because I think it's hard for a young defensive end to really flourish in this first year when you're not Jadeveon Clowney or something like that.
Yeah.
If he he's going to get opportunity right now. That's the cool thing is that he's really getting an opportunity. He seems to be playing hard, even though he's had some injury stuff. And Brian Burns looks like a man on a mission this year. Very excited. He looks very motivated. So good.
Dude, I'm excited
about him.
And they were talking about Gross Matos was getting in the backfield. He was always like, I am so excited for this exterior. And to be fair, and in the defense of Marty Hurney, again, I said that I think we have this is so hard to say because, we've been kind of on this train of Marty Hurney's the reason, he got rid of Cam. It's just not he needs to be fired or whatever. But when you look at this draft, this is probably his best draft to date as far as performance out of our rookies up to this point, right? I don't think I've seen a better draft from him. And have the actual performance from his rookies like he's had this year. I want it to be good. I tell you this, though, is I thought that the 2015 draft for the Carolina Panthers was going to be that. And so we'll have to see in 3 years. But you're right. Right now, Jeremy Chin leads the defense in tackles right now, or at least all rookies in tackles. Yeah, all rookies in tackles.
On the downside, though, and the one negative I do have to say about the defense is the place where it shouldn't be coming from is, again, not overly impressed by Shaq Thompson.
Yeah, there were he got there on the outside. That was that big gain. That was a pretty important, I think, third down, and he got beat. But he had some really good wrap ups, like that one wrap up when it was a screen pass. He wrapped that dude's leg and just did the alligator roll. Like, he was not letting that dude go. I think there were some positives from him, but you're right. I mean, all in all, if he's supposed to be the leader of that defense, which I don't know if he is, I almost feel like it's Tahir, which I still don't think we're seeing enough of him. Our biggest weakness, 100%.
Well, that was good. We didn't hear his name called today. That's a good sign.
Yeah. But my biggest concern out of this entire defense is not the defensive line. Oddly, it's not the secondary because they have found a way to pull it together. It is our middle line or our linebacker core, and just trying to figure out. Even though that Chin's in there, I mean, I think they need to give him a much bigger role. Like, he needs to be the guy because he's clearly got something going for him. He's doing fantastic out there. Whereas KK was there. I mean, he was there.
He played today, but the question is, he had one tackle. I did like this one play, is that there was one play that they ran it immediately, or they threw a wide receiver screen or something, and the guy, he could have almost gotten a penalty for this. He went and just threw his body on the pile afterwards. He's like, I'm just going to put this fat ass on y'all. He has been struggling with an injury. I don't know what it is, right? I don't know if it's a foot or an ankle or what's going on with him. So that's one thing. And something we kind of mentioned in the beginning is that, maybe we don't judge how he's playing entirely on his play alone, but how some of the other guys are benefiting from that. Tinge Ginger says KK was doubled. Yeah. I'd have to go back and look more carefully at what was going on, but it gives, when you have a threat there beside Derek Brown, it gives Derek Brown more favorable matchups.
Yeah.
And it didn't, and also it tends to help the defensive ends. Good question right here, and I don't know the answer to it. Didn't Eli Apple clear waivers? What if we move Shaq to the middle and Chin to the outside and add Apple to the secondary and drop Whitehead? There's a lot of movement right there. Is Shaq, though, I've seen him play good in the middle before. Chin, I don't know. I mean, he's kind of a Swiss Army knife at this point. I don't know that's an interesting idea. But the question is, Eli Apple, is he going to come back and make a difference for this team? I got to tell you this, he's going to have a hard time getting his job back from Rasul Douglas.
That's a part of it that I mean, he was active today, guys, and Rasul Douglas was the starter. You got to think about that.
Apple was active today?
Yeah, he was back today. He got re-injured. He got re-injured in the first half, playing on special teams or something.
I didn't know that. Man, crazy. Yeah. All right. Interesting. Jermaine Carter, 350 said, with a big tackle today. Yeah, that was nice. All right, let's go. Keep going. Make sure you smash the thumbs up button. Follow the C3 Panthers podcast. We're live on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Wednesday nights, picking with the professor. And actually lost this game. I picked the Cardinals -3.5. And the Panthers came out and impressed me today with a big win, and were able to do it because they got in the end zone, and that really allowed them to play a balanced game on both sides of the ball. 252-228-5098.
Carolina's podcast, how y'all doing?
Oh, what's up,
y'all
G. Cavassier?
G. Cavassier. boy, did y'all see that game? Before I say anything, that was a good-ass fucking game. That was a good game. Didn't that game look more balanced? Or is it just me? They seemed more fucking balanced on offense and defense. They seemed really, really balanced. And maybe it took a little while to get used to Phil Snow's defense, to get used to Joe Brady's offense. But to me, them boys looked good. And shout out to the offensive line, man. Teddy had tremendous time back there in that damn pocket, man. I swear he did, man. He made a mistake and threw a goddamn pick, which that shit pissed me off. You know what I'm saying? But, it is what it is, man. I'm not mad. We 2-2, fellas. We 2-2, man. If we keep this up, man, hey, like I said before, we could be fighting for a wild card spot, man. Never know, man. I was really satisfied with what I saw today, y'all. I really am, man. The boys came to play, man. They really did, man. Even KK was out there, man. And did you see that one play that Greg Little did, man? It was like a damn pass play or a run play, and Greg Little laid that dude the fuck out. I was like, damn. See, that's the Greg Little I want to see right there.
To be fair on that one, though,
without O'Connor or whatever, a left tackle. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got to say. Love y'all to death, all the fans out there, and always remember, y'all, keep pounding.
Great call, G. Great call.
Yeah,
thanks
love
for being
that.
part
love
of the podcast.
I was going to say that is that he may have gotten away with the penalty on that one. The ball was still in the air when he started to engage with that guy, and that's technically pass interference.
I have to go back.
I was looking at, because I was like, did he just get perfectly timed right there? And it was probably about 3 or 4 feet away from who is it, Robbie Anderson, whoever it was. before it actually when he just knocked that dude on his ass, bro.
Well, I think first, I agree with his call 100%, and I think the word today was balanced. Right?
Yeah.
Is that the offense was productive, the defense was productive. Joey Sly did miss his first field goal, or not? I think it was his missed. His
first real 3-point field goal. Yeah.
Yeah. But balance, like we didn't look vulnerable on special teams, which is really a big story. Chase Blackburn has the special teams playing well for the Carolina Panthers right now. Yeah, I think balanced is the appropriate description of today's game, from player performance to coaching, like we've kind of highlighted throughout the show at this point. And one I like, just to finish up on the Greg Little comment, I think it says a lot about Greg Little and the coaching staff that he came out and played well today.
Yeah,
after the performance he had last week, you could see how I won't say, I don't know if in the past we would have given up on somebody, because in the past we just keep doing the same crap and it never got any better, felt like. But we saw Matt Rule congratulate or compliment Greg Little on a short week last week, having to prepare to be a starter and stuff. And did he get benched over performance? It looks like it in that game at this point.
Yeah.
But they came back out. They probably got him the reps in. And so they showed belief in him, and Greg Little rose to the occasion today.
I'm going to tell you, I cannot tell you how much, I know this sounds like we're really pouring on the praise for this coaching staff, but I cannot tell you how much I am impressed with the way this coaching staff is handling things. And it's not just a matter of play call. The way they're handling players is amazing, right? They're building people up. They're building Dante Jackson up. They're building, I don't know if you guys saw the stuff, when Dante Jackson, he is being praised instead of just vilified for everything he's doing on the field, right? And the same thing with Greg Little. He would not be, if he wasn't given this opportunity today, he's going to continue to go on a downward spiral, right? And he came in, he stepped up because this coaching staff believes in their players. If you made the 53-man roster on the Panthers, they believe in you, right? And if they don't believe in you, then, they don't believe in you. You're not on the team anymore. But if you're on the team, they have 100% confidence in you. And that's what you can tell with the fact that Obata's been playing. Gross Matos has been in there. You've seen Pride Jr. in there. You're seeing Rasul Douglas get an opportunity. You're seeing Dante Jackson, even though he comes out every other quarter for being hurt for a minute. You're seeing them praise him and build him up. You're seeing our offensive line being given opportunities, and then they're stepping up to the plate. I mean, you're seeing this coaching staff put these guys on this pedestal, and these guys are living up to it. And that's what I love about it, is it just feels like it's a team that actually is fighting for one another. They believe in what they're doing and what their coaching staff is trying to create there. And I think that can go a long way. I just hope that this season can continue on the route that it is, where we just show progression every single week and we don't take a big step backwards. Because I think with a young team like this, there is a risk involved with having a lot of youngins, and that is that they're not mentally capable of handling a lot of these 7-8 game losing streaks, right? Or getting beat by 50 points. So you have those opportunities. Now all of a sudden it's like Dante Jackson was 2 years ago on All or Nothing, when he was just felt like he was being demoralized. Yeah.
No, I agree 100% with that. And really, we were just glowing optimistic across the board, other than Greg, who was like a wait until I see it type when it came to this coaching staff. It was when we hired, when we made the decision, we got this guy, he got us ready to run through walls with his opening press conference and stuff like that. It was really the Cam news that really kind of sent us, it was like a diversion from that glowy optimism, but right now, that they look prepared, right? I mean, I think even the smallest thing is Matt Rule, I think, has finally figured out he wants the face shield.
Yeah.
Right. Is that he was switching back and forth in game 1 or 2. I mean, is that, and you're right, is in what sense? And to be honest, I think Ron Rivera, when he had success in 2015, actually became a worse coach.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
The reason
we
I
saw
believe,
a flip.
Yeah, and Ron Rivera in his opening years fell on the sword for everybody, for his play. Now, he might, in closed doors, might be reaming and screaming at his players or something like that. But he was coming out and he would finish those tough years with, like, it starts with us. We've got to do better. We got to get these guys prepared, all of that. I felt like after the 2015 season, he started to throw people under the bus more.
Yeah.
Like,
and you got to remember, he won the Coach of the Year twice. So that's on his, like, on his resume now, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of like you see Pat Mahomes after he had his MVP season, he's out on the field doing this stuff, right? Like Cam Newton was super confident because he came out and he was doing stuff, right? When these guys get this success, a lot of times it goes to their head, and it's just human nature.
But what is the sense in tearing down your players in public, right? Is that so? I think it's like, particularly with young players, probably is that they're gonna, you have to know how people respond.
Yeah.
And there was a comment earlier in the chat room that said that maybe, or suggested that potentially the coaching staff did a disservice to Cam in his career by not challenging him more.
Yeah.
And there's been questions if he was coddled or some things like that. But there's you have to recognize, if you're a coach, like personality traits of your players.
Yeah.
And so you need to be able to find out what helps motivate them and be more confident in themselves. And so I think I would be disheartened if Matt Rule, like, he should be just glowing about his players right now because they're trying to build. And I think it's part of his DNA. I don't think it's inauthentic either, is that, Derek Brown, when he had a couple of penalties in the beginning of the season, even people on the podcast were like, look at this. And and he's like, look, this is going to be fine. This dude's playing country strong, and, and I think that Dante Jackson continues to be the major storyline to me. Maybe Greg Little is going to become one. Oh, and I forgot to mention today, you want to talk about balance, G. Cavassi? Guess who caught a touchdown? Didn't Ian Thomas catch a touchdown?
Yeah, Ian Thomas, finally,
Finally.
He did. And
what
Chris
about
Manhurst
that
fighting.
Oh, gosh.
Fighting like a
badass
mug,
player
bro.
right there.
Dude. Man,
So,
that would have been incredible. Can we talk about let's heap some praise on Teddy Bridgewater for a moment.
Okay.
That 20-yard touchdown run, that was sick.
It was. And him, like, dragging his feet, it kind of it is kind of resemblance of the Sam Darnold one.
Yeah.
The other night on Thursday Night Football is but is that Teddy, I think, and this is going to be important, is, we have, and it's hard for us to remember this, is that Teddy is out there trying to beat back the demons in his own head that go back to his own injury and troubles to his success before that injury. And if he continues to gain confidence, his play will only improve.
Yeah.
So is that maybe we will see the offense become a little bit more explosive as Teddy gets more experience, more confident, and more confident in himself. So it's exciting. It's exciting. I actually think I've been very impressed with Manhurts. We have not, but in fairness too, there's been lots of times where he's not been the great blocker they've been talking about. But he's actually starting to contribute to this offense, and we need him to, because you can't have one tight end in the league. Like, you need to have a tight end that's competent.
Multiple tight end,
Yeah, they just need to be competent. So very happy for this team, and in the direction 2 weeks in a row, getting better from week to week. And if we can get Dan Quinn fired, that's got to be our mantra this week. Get Dan Quinn fired. Because then we're on a 3-game winning streak, and then we're going to go in, we're going to get Chicago at home, and we're going to be on a 4-game winning streak.
Dude, this game has done nothing but make me believe that this team is going to continue to get better. And maybe those games that we thought were going to be tough aren't going to be as bad, right? Like, every team that I saw on the actual schedule, I was thinking, oh, we're going to lose to them. I really thought there was a chance we go, winless this year. I mean, just because it's not a cakewalk of a schedule by any stretch. And because we've got we didn't know what to expect out of Bridgewater. We don't know what to expect out of this coaching staff. And one game in, we were already, judging this coaching staff for not being quality. That was a horrible play, horrible call, horrible play, horrible call. Week 2, same thing. Week 3, we were still giving them a little bit, but we're like, they did a little bit better as far as play calling this game. And then this just made me realize, like, these guys are just learning the ropes. They're getting, and what I'm liking about it is all these teams we're facing, every time we face a new opponent, there's more and more tape on that opponent than the previous opponent the last week. So they have more to look at.
Yeah, and it seems like, too, just one other thing to follow up, we got to power through some of these calls, is that some of the teams that we thought weren't going to be good are better than we gave them credit for. Is that, look, Las Vegas, they're not playing well right now, actually. But, Arizona was a little bit stronger of a team than we expected, or at least it seemed like that after week 2. We haven't been playing dumpster fires, you know what I'm saying? And we have been competitive. And, you think if you could have just won that the Las Vegas game, this team is like really in a good spot here. You're right, is that I had some of the concerns too. I thought some of these teams were going to be better than they were, but now, right now, Atlanta can't win. There's some other things that are going on that are giving us an opportunity. So very exciting time for the Panthers. And I would like to remind this is that, and people are pointing it out left and right in the chat room, is, that Matt Rule's the real deal. He's genuine, as Humble Flip No Fool says. That we got this continued reference to Matt Rule. Here's Barry Barisha. Matt Rule turned around 2 garbage college programs, Temple and Baylor, within a short period of time. Trust the process. Look at what's going on in New York with the New York Jets right now.
Oh, God.
They interviewed Matt Rule before, and he didn't get the job. They gave it to Adam Gase.
That was last year?
2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, I think. Because Gase had, basically, it's like a year and a half now. And Matt Rule came in and said, if I'm going to join this, he's like, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to bring in my guys. And they didn't like that independence. And they didn't give it to him. So I have my buddy always sends me message about like, oh, man, look, Matt Rule's looking good right now. And also think you can also look at what the Giants are not looking good. Overall. And so, look, very happy with this coaching staff so far. 252-228-5098.
Let's go. It's your boy J-Dub. Dude,
J-Dub?
To all you motherfucking negative Nancy Debbie Downer fucking hit the panic button in 2 fucking seconds, know nothing about fucking football and how franchises are built, goddamn pussy ass 2015, only when Cam was drafted, wasn't here for 2 and 14, bitch-ass wannabe Panther fans. Suck it, motherfuckers. I told you to keep your fucking panties on, and we are just fine. We can still clean up a few things. The penalties was a little bit too much. Brian Burns had a little personal foul. Shaq had a really bad open field thing. It cost us. Teddy had that stupid, interception. It wasn't fucking perfect. Sly missed a fucking field goal again. But God damn it, we're putting it together and playing team football. These guys have each other's back. They're fucking helping each other out. Everyone's high-fiving and helping each other. I mean, it looks like fucking an actual team of football. Like football is a team game. 53 motherfucker and however many on the practice squad, all the everybody. Man, all you fucking doubters, I'm so fucking sick of you motherfuckers. I hope you're goddamn happy. I'm glad it didn't take fucking a year to 2 years to wait for this shit, because I'm already seeing it. We might not be world beaters, but I am seeing the culture. I am seeing the team come together. And it ain't perfect, but God, why would it be after fucking 4 games? Come on. Like, most of you don't know football and don't know how, haven't seen us at our worst. Like, we've been way worse than this. If we add a little bit of roster to this in the future, oh my God. And plus, we're already figuring out who's on our team right now. Get the fuck out of here. Fucking starting 4 rookies on goddamn defense. say something. And they are fucking balling out. It takes time. Give them a fucking time. You can't call them a bust after week 1, week 2, week 3. How you like me now? How you like Matt Rule now? What's really up, Panther Nation? What? Fucking keep your panties on. Quit fighting each other. Go be a campaign if you want, that's fine. But don't fuck with this team. Let us fucking do our thing. Quit fucking all the fighting and negativity. Let's ride with this goddamn team. Keep pounding is not just the same. All right? Give him Teddy two gloves. Get that shit. McCaffrey, take your time and rest up, bro. Let's fucking get this shit. Jeremy Chang, keep balling. I see you, bro. Robbie Anderson, glad we got you, thug. Let's fucking go. This is J-Dub, motherfuckers. Keep your goddamn panties on and keep pounding. Let's get it.
If your ears aren't bleeding at this point,
that's all.
That's all. There is some funniness to the idea of don't be negative as I scream motherfucker at you over and over. No, but J-Dub, I'm right. You're right, dude. You're right. And that's the thing is first, and I think I've actually been very positive about this coaching staff, and I don't need to defend and I know J-Dub listens to the show weekly and stuff like that, so he knows we have looked prepared. We've looked prepared. I have seen more talented teams of the Carolina Panthers look less prepared on a weekly basis than this team that is arguably, it's just young. You can't even say it's not talented. You can't even say we actually have more talent than maybe even give ourselves credit for a little bit. But you're right. You're starting 4 people on defense, 4 rookies on defense. This has looked better than I expected it to look, and that wasn't me being negative. It was me thinking, man, this is going to be a process. Yep. But the coaching staff, and for me, it was less about Phil Snow and Matt Rule and more just interested to see how Joe Brady was going to work in the NFL with there was a lot of hype and everything is clicking. And that might not mean playoffs this year. It might, if it was, that would be crazy. It would be crazy cool. But the idea that, again, I said from the very beginning, even if we went winless and we look better from week to week, I would be happy. And this team looks competent, and I already can say and know that I feel good about the way the team looks. And look, we've seen a lot of other teams try to do what the Panthers are doing. That is, move on from their their quarterback, bring in a new head coach. And we have seen a disaster after disaster after disaster as well when it comes to other teams around the league and how long it's taken them to get out of this coaching hell. Yep. So, no, I think all signs are a go for this coaching staff. The question is how long are you going to be able to keep Joe Brady? Right? That was what a lot of people were talking about before, and I could see he's just sharp, man. You know what I like about this staff too is they haven't panicked.
Can we talk about the fact that this, again, the staff itself has not panicked. They have not just changed up the way that they do things. They came in with an idea, and they said it on the broadcast, and it's something we talked about even last week, I think, Tony. This team is still trying to figure out their identity. And today, I think, was a big step towards finding out what they want to be. And what they want to be is somebody who just is efficient. It does not need to be this, and it's something that Drew Brees and Sean Payton have mastered. It was something that Bill Belichick and Tom Brady mastered, and that is every play doesn't need every series of downs does not require a deep ball, right? It does not. It does not require you go crazy. But at the same time, it does not require that you remain overly conservative with every even if you are ahead. And that's what I liked about this too. We did not go into this Ron Rivera mode of we're just going to run out the clock until it was the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, right? So they're definitely doing great. And I'm sorry, let me ask you, Tony, do you think Paradis has been doing a good job at center?
Yeah, I gotta say is that right now is again he's gotten better from week to week.
Yeah, gotten better from week to week.
He had a tough matchup. I feel like in week. Well, I don't know if week 1 was a tough matchup with loss. I feel like he's had to play. That Tampa game is tough for him. He's going against a lot of talent on that front. They got Vita Vea, and I know that.
But, I mean, even in that, they didn't it wasn't like he crumbled, right? But what I guess my thing is not to double down on Matt or Marty Herney being a good GM, but that was a hire that took place last year. That was a signing that took place last year, and it worked out very well. And that was a longer term deal, right? It wasn't one that was just a 1-year deal like the Gerald McCoy and the Bruce Irving, right? All of these moves that have been more long term, like Teddy Bridgewater, like Robbie Anderson, like Matt Paradis, and then the draft. I mean, you guys have got to give it to Herney. I mean, Cody wants to be mad at him.
Yeah, he's been better in free agency. So his problem in the past has
been overpaying running
backs. And now we did pay a running back a lot.
I know.
So
we paid again, and this is something that people want to talk about. You forget that he's still playing out the rest of his 2 years on his rookie contract. Like he's still got the 4th and the 5th year option, and then this was an extension on top of that. So really, if you look at what he's making over the next 7 years, he's not making a tremendous amount of money in comparison to other running backs. So I think we've got to keep that in mind that his deal was somewhat of a friendly deal.
Like I'm not even upset with it. Is that I think is that look is Marty Herney. He's just had a mixed bag in his drafts a little bit. Is that you're sitting here going, oh. It goes back to the Will. Really, if you could eradicate the Will Grier pick and the Rashawn Golden pick, we would feel a lot better about Marty Herney. Yeah. And if for some reason he would have had the nuts to pick Butker over
top of Gano,
then he would be. But we had never had money. We haven't really had a lot of money still in free agency. We're going to be just first getting it next year. Like we actually can have some cash to do some stuff. And as long as we don't go like on a spending spree, like it could benefit us quickly. But look, I still think Marty Herney has done the best in free agency that we've had in a long time. And if you go back, it started with his first year. He goes and gets Brashard Breeland, and it looks like, man, this is really going to help our defense. Then he had the funky foot injury where he didn't pass. But imagine when you go out and you're aggressive on basically day one of free agency, and your plan going forward is like, this is going to happen, then we're going to try to do this and this. And plan A falls apart from the beginning. He was then able to scoop up Dontari Poe. And Poe, whether or not he worked out as well or as bad, is up for debate. But I think it was a decent move given the circumstances. The following year was Paradis acquisition. No, we got Paradis, and
Gerald McCoy, Bruce Irving.
Yeah, and you know what? Is the Panthers were kind of loading up for a last dash with Cam to see what was going to happen.
They signed Eric Reed to a very friendly in an offseason where safeties were getting paid bank. Signed Eric Reed to a very team-friendly deal. That was a 3-year deal before we cut him.
There are some questions that are surrounding Marty Herney. And one question I have, and I don't know, and it hasn't turned out to bite us in the butt so much, but didn't we extend Eric Reed and then just cut him right after we did that?
No, he played 1 year on his extension because he had the first year with us. Okay, that was a 1-year deal. Then we re-signed him the next year, and he played last year, and that was his first year on that new deal.
Okay.
And then we cut him this past offseason.
Okay, so we did it wasn't like we just paid him and then cut him the next day.
Correct. Yeah, it wasn't a Kyle Allen situation where we paid him and then traded him.
Yeah, so and really the one thing though, I don't know if you can do it now. Right, is the way that we hired the coach and some stuff is maybe the Marty Herney is a guy that could work well with his staff. I just wanted there to be a more lockstep vision between the coaching staff and the GM. So what I don't like, and I don't think that Matt Rule is, hopefully, and we'll see what kind of metal Tepper's made of and the character, I guess, of the organization in some ways, is that the fear I have is that when you hire the coach first, or when you hire these guys separate and they're not like a tandem, it almost seems like a GM and a coach should come together and leave together.
Yeah.
And instead of getting that 1 or 2 years of finger pointing.
Yeah, that's what I worry about. There's almost like this battle between a GM and a head coach. Like anytime you see it, and I think you saw it on, I don't know if you guys ever saw Draft Day, but you almost had this like it's like a war between the GM. Like if they come in as a unified front, like similar to like Matt Rule bringing in his team, like he brought in the people he wanted. He brought in the defensive coordinator he wanted. He brought in the offensive coordinator he wanted. He's got players that he wanted, and the team seems to mesh. If you bring in a GM who brings in the coach that he wants, that brings in and then that coach, I feel like you have a much more unified front. I don't think that there is I don't feel like there is a separation of vision between Marty Herney and Matt Rule. Personally.
No, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, look, his Matt Rule has been very complimentary of Marty Herney.
The
one thing I think that actually probably surprised us a little bit was that Marty Herney had as much influence on this draft as at least they've indicated.
Yeah.
Or at least Matt Rule has indicated. In some ways, it almost the attitude is like, he's the seasoned guy on draft day. I'm going to let him do his thing. And I just figured that Matt Rule would be a little bit more involved. But at the same time, it sounds like Phil Snow was heavily involved in this draft preparation. They talked about scouting Justin Herbert. He was involved in that process himself. See the defensive guys scouting offensive players, which I think is shows a lot about Phil Snow's capability. But then you go and get 7 defensive players. So we'll see. We'll see how, as Matt Rule comes into his own, how this relationship blossoms or if it continues. And Tinge Ginger, I probably have to agree with this, is Herney is better than Gettleman.
Yeah.
I hate to say that because I was fooled by Gettleman in the beginning. I thought Gettleman was the real deal, dude. And
I think we were fooled by a lot. Yeah, we were fooled by a lot because we won 3 division titles in a row. That's why.
And he got us out of salary cap. The thing is he came in with bad money circumstances and made a lot out of it in the initial. And that's when we really started to respect him, as this idea that he was able to basically pick through the bargain bin and put together some good damn teams. Most importantly, that 2013 team where we went 12-4, and you did it with like, look about this. It says this. Here's an interesting thing right here. It says the stream's current bit rate is higher than we recommend on YouTube. That's crazy.
Well, that might be. We'll have to mess with it. If you get off and you don't have anything to do, we can look at it and see if we can get it up to 1080, because I'm pretty sure it's not in 1080 right now.
All right, but all right. So interesting call so far. I like. It's nice to win. It also shows you this. We got 69 viewers here, deep into the show right here. Panther Nation excited to be back, and look, is that I think we're starting to settle down in our feelings a little bit.
Yeah.
And, a couple of wins helps us. Guess who we haven't just talked about incessantly on the show?
COVID Cam.
Yeah. So that's a good thing.
Hey, fellas, how's it going? It's Jason from Colorado.
What's
Greg's
up, Jason?
doppelganger, I think, is what you called me last week. Feels good. Get a second win out of the team. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. This game made me super optimistic about our potential. We had a lot of good things going on, both offensively and defensively. I thought Derek Brown really impressed me today. He was getting his penetration and making some good run stops. Brian Burns was just all over Kyler Murray. I think that Kyler might start to dislike Brian a little bit because even when he wasn't getting sacks, he was still knocking him to the ground several times, and I always love to see that. And Mike Davis I don't think maybe Marshawn Lynch was better at breaking tackles than he was this game, but I mean I don't think he went down on first contact once. I mean maybe he did. I just didn't see it, but it was really impressive to watch him get out there and make himself heard. And we had good. I mean, it helps when you got good pass protection and good run blocking. That's something that I feel like our run blocking was subpar last week, but this week it seemed like we were really able to get out in front. Like there was one player, Paradis and Reed, I think was his name. I don't know that guy very well, but they both got downfield and made some good blocks for Curtis Samuel, who showed up and had himself heard too. Teddy did a great job distributing the ball. I don't think there was really one standout player on offense except for Teddy. He had an awesome completion percentage. He threw the one interception, but I mean, nobody's perfect. One of the things that we were criticizing for last week was not taking those shots down the field, but there were several chunk plays that we were able to take advantage of this week, and I think that really shows the evolution of Joe Brady's offense. They're starting to get into their stride and feel confident, and they're playing fast, and that goes for the defense as well. It's really great to see. Special teams continuing to impress. You know, they had that block, got a hand on the punt, but then actually got out of the way to not draw the penalty. So that shows some smart football. They're playing pretty disciplined. There were a couple snafus out there with, when Brian Burns got up in that offensive lineman's face and drew the personal flag or personal foul. It's going to happen. They're a young team, but yeah, I'm super happy. It was a great game. I know it kind of is ruining our shots at getting Trevor Lawrence, but at this point, I think that we can really improve this team by simply drafting well. I don't think we need to draft high. I think we need to draft well. And that's evidence. I mean, look at Washington. Their first round 2019 quarterback is really not doing.
Let's see. We got one. You probably got to back into this call.
I'm really going to start working on getting my thoughts out quicker, but yeah, I mean, we did hurt our draft position today, but I don't think that matters. I like the win. I like the fact that the team is playing well and clicking and driving. One of the things I wanted to ask y'all about was, you had your guest on last week talking about the Arizona Cardinals, and he was saying that one of the things you asked him about was how they're playing Isaiah Simmons versus how we're playing Jeremy Chin. And I mean, going into this week, Chin led all rookies in tackles versus you look at Isaiah Simmons, who when he was targeted in coverage, quarterbacks went 4 for 4 for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, Isaiah Simmons was getting torched. And I know that, the guy that you had on last week was saying that you need to take your time with rookies and let them develop and such. But what do you guys think? I feel like it's way better to get your players in the game and get them experience rather than having them sit out and watch from the sidelines. You learn by doing. And, but anyway, I think that Chin so far has turned out to be a much better pick than Simmons. I know that Cody, you might disagree with that from seeing his games in Clemson, but as you guys all know, college performance does not always necessarily translate into performance in the NFL. It could be a weakness of scheme, could be a weakness of coaching, but so far I'm really impressed with the vision of the organization in passing up on Isaiah Simmons, getting Derek Brown and Jeremy Chin. At the time, I couldn't comment. I don't watch a whole lot of college football, so I don't really know these guys as well as you do. But I think that shows vision in our drafting, and I think if we can put that same vision to work in future drafts, I don't think that we've hurt our prospects as much by getting the win today. But anyway, I'm just blabbering on now. Thanks for all the hard work that you guys put into the podcast. I love listening to it. Keep pounding, and we'll see.
Great call, man. Fantastic call. I agree with pretty much every point. And I do want to put out here, I want to give y'all a little blessing right here, is that there is all right, so what I like about that call right there is, one, that what it tells us is that that drafting well is not just about position. It's about drafting well. And there's he made that comment as an interesting comment came up in the chat room, and that is that Dave Gettleman really set this team back. And it's absolutely right, is that Dave Gettleman almost kind of bought into his own ego after 2015. And when they rescinded the franchise tag on Josh Norman is when the whole thing went to shit. And I'm not saying that Josh Norman would have made our team this epic thing, but what Dave Gettleman always said is he broke his own rule that year. And he said that you use free agency to set up the draft. And when he backed himself into a corner that year, and what we had to do is we drafted 3 corners back to back, and only one of them worked out. We went with James Bradbury, Zach Sanchez, and there was Daryl Worley was the other one.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yep.
And he backed himself
they were the
into
3 kings or 3 amigos or something like that.
Yeah, he backed himself into that corner, and then these mistakes were complicated by. Another thing is that he drafted Kelvin Benjamin, and people said he was unknown slacker at Florida State. But I really wish we had the opportunity to get Allen Robinson that year. That would have been great. He did not ever address the left tackle position until it became too late, and then he made the bad bet, and he bet on Matt Khalil. And the best part of the Matt Khalil deal is his wife's picture that I have up here from Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition. But other than that, he was a complete bum, right? And it was Dave Gettleman backed himself into his own corner, and it turned out problematic. What we 100%. We need to draft well wherever our position is, if we're 12th, if we're 8th, if we're 7th. And we can't have another Vernon Butler. We've got to have a good, solid draft, and it looks like we may have had that this year. Derek Brown, all signs this guy is going to be a dominant force in the NFL. It might not be the most sexy position. I do think here, and I want to say this, is I have concerns about when we get kind of this draft, the numbers from the combine can sometimes woo us so much. Yeah. And I wonder if Isaiah Simmons has expressed frustration already about how the team's using him. So it's not, what they're doing. There's some things going on here.
It's not living up to his expectations. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's disappointed too. But I also think too is that sometimes – you need to get Chin at a deal. You don't need to get Chin in the first round. And sometimes maybe you overpaid for Isaiah Simmons. And Derek Brown is what this defense needed more at this moment than Isaiah Simmons. I truly believe that is we could not stop the run up the middle at all. And KK being back was not going to help it. We no more Kyle Love as being a Band-Aid. We have Derek Brown for 5 years. We can build a front now that is mean and tough and strong. And I'm excited about that. So, I think it was a great call. And it teased out a lot of things when it comes to how we need to approach going forward and building. And it's not going to be a one-hit one. Now, yes, getting a franchise quarterback can change a franchise. It can. You can see what teams that don't have a franchise quarterback, how they're all struggling to find one. But at the same time, that's not the only way. It's like you can draft a franchise quarterback, him be great, but if you don't build around him in a sound and wise way through the draft and through free agency, it's not going to go as easily as you would think. So, good call. Keep going through it. 252-228-5098.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Joey?
It's Joey again. Or not again, I didn't call. But anyway, second win in a row. First home win. 5,240 fans that were there. Yeah, man, it was a great game. long punishing drives.
Yep.
Our offense taking big bites out of them. Like, like the Cardinals to us were like a big, liter beer stein that, we took pretty good sized swigs out of. I made it last for about 3 hours so we wouldn't get wasted like Tony at the end of the C3 Panthers podcast.
I always take big swigs.
The Cardinals, I don't know if they look like a real team out there. I know we did. I mean, we put up 31 points on them. We could have put up more. I mean, there were times Matt Rule could have gone for it.
Yeah, we kicked a field goal at one point where I thought we might have gone for it.
By a pretty large margin, but I don't like when coaches take their foot off the gas.
And we didn't, though.
Yeah, I don't feel like we did.
So I would have rather got touchdowns in that situation, but, we didn't. And Joey Sly missed a field goal, but there were opportunities to get touchdowns. And a lot of them we got touchdowns later, but I think we could have gotten more touchdowns. I would have liked to get another touchdown when we were really close at the end,
There was only 3 possessions we didn't get a touchdown.
Anyway, still a great game.
Yeah,
still really happy we won.
Field goal once.
Teddy's running in for touchdowns now. Teddy's starting to get badass. Anyway, guys, you know how it goes. Wow.
There it is.
Wow.
Look, he's coming back.
Yeah, I did too, because we won. Hey, guys, it's Joey again. And I forgot what I was going to say last call, but now I remembered. Because of the new rules and the practice squad thing, we can elevate a player from the practice squad twice, which we did with Reggie Bonifant, and he played pretty well both of the times that we activated him. And now the rules state that if we want him next week, we have to sign him. Should we sign him? Can we sign him? I don't know if we have the money to do that.
Who?
I think we do. I don't think we are over
that's
the
one
cap this
question
year.
I have.
And he's going to get a league
really
minimum.
Good. And the team probably can pick him up. A team probably will pick him up.
Reggie Bonifant.
A running back needy team might, see this guy sitting on our practice squad.
We have to keep him on the 53.
Well, Marty Herney is never going to take him off the practice squad. He don't know how to do shit. Why don't we go get him?
Dude, I don't think.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and we'll go ahead and address this call.
So first and foremost, Reggie Bonifant cannot go on the practice squad again this year if you plan on playing him again. He's reached the maximum number of games he can play and still be on a practice squad.
So now we have to put him on the 53.
We have to put him on the 53 or not be able to take him off the practice squad again.
And unless Christian McCaffrey's coming back next week, I don't really think that you can not do it. Yeah. Right? I mean, is that now? I don't think that Reggie Bonifant is going to be highly touted, like how courted is. He is a straight line runner, right? Is like you can see he stands up tall, runs high, So but he's a nice compliment to Mike Davis. And I feel like, too, as well, is that let's not forget, I'm pretty sure Reggie Bonifant was either a wide receiver or quarterback at Louisville. I cannot remember. One of the two. So he's not –
I think he was a quarterback.
So kind of
I remember him throwing some balls.
And then the other thing is I don't know how you – and we can't just have one running back on the team. Unless we're going to put Curtis Samuel as the guy back there. But right now, I think that Bonifant has played well in every appearance he's had. And as long as he can contribute on special teams, I think we're in good shape. Let's keep going through with these calls. 252-228-5098.
Hello. This is Tree Fitty.
What up, Tree Fitty?
All right. After thoughts watching this game, glorious game for what it was worth. I like pretty much every aspect. I was, shit. Offense looked pretty on point. Teddy, he put up 3 touchdowns, ran one, tossed 2 to Reggie and Ian. Who would have thought those 2 would be his targets, you know? Reggie Bonifant, Ian Thomas.
I know.
For a touchdown. Get the fuck out of here. But, defense was looking pretty damn good. Derek Brown, he's that fucking man. YGM with the forced fumble. You know, even we saw Jermaine Carter sighting. You know, who would have thought we see Jermaine Carter with this defense? Phil Snow, you got it. That's 2 games in a row where, my hate for you has very dwindled. And, I really don't have too much negatives for this game. It was pretty much everything was fucking positive. Shit, 31 points to 20. I'll take it. I'll take it every day. Every Sunday, I'll take that. And, Mike Davis and being hurt for a hot second, that was a little troubling. I'd rather us have a full running back core of 3 running backs, but we got Reggie and, Curtis Samuel and the other guy, Trent Kane, whatever he's about, you know, but, good win. Teddy, you proving us wrong right now at least for this week. I like what I've seen out of you, and that's pretty much it. I don't got much to say, honestly. It's just a good win. I'm gonna rejoice and drink some more beer and shit, and keep pounding. All right, y'all. Good job, C3. Keep up the podcast.
Thank you, man. Thanks for being a part of our show and a part of our community. It's a big part of our community in the chat room all the time, and now getting in on the calls. We love it. Calls have been great tonight, and I think we've gotten a lot of good insight from Panther fans tonight, right? And whether it goes to G. Cavassier and the balance, Jason talking about how to approach the future and what these are signs of. We got a lot of good. We're seeing good things happen, and it's comforting to Panther fans. You know, they're making a lot with what they've got. I 100%. Think that I want to see. I want to know if Robbie Anderson is lulling these cats to sleep a little bit with these underneath routes, and we're going to see some big time plays from him in the near future. We want to see. If we got anything, I want to continue to see improve in the near future. In the short term, is I really need to see DJ Moore become more polished, more consistent, or that's what I want to see. You know, you want to have your number 1 draft pick be of number 1 status, but he's still got time. It's not, you know, it's just, it hasn't been the best start though for him. 252-228-5098.
Hey guys, it's Joey, and I'd like to respond to Jeff's call with the call of my own. And I hate that Cody's not here for this because this is right up his alley. And by the way, I saw the hate comments in the chat room. And you guys can go fuck yourselves. Anyway, it's not that we're going to win too many games to get Trevor Lawrence. It's just, have you seen the Jets? They're terrible. Gase is gone already. Gase is a dead man walking. Poor Darnold's ran to the ground. I mean, we don't know what he is because he's had Adam Gase. Because he's on the Jets, okay? And so they're probably going to be looking, well, man, should we get another quarterback? And maybe. Who knows? And Daniel Jones, the Giants look terrible. And they haven't been helped by the schedule makers either because they got the Niners. But they're terrible. Okay? They have some improvements, but they're not really producing on the field. So Gettleman could be gone, and if Gettleman brings in a new coach, which I don't know that that's going to happen, the owners have a lot more control. Like the Giants ownership has a lot more say than a lot of other teams does, or ownerships do, but that could happen. Then we got the Washington football team. I don't know about Dwayne Haskins. I don't know. They could be in the play. Jaguars, I don't think so. They have Minshew, but there are a lot of teams that could be in the play for Trevor Lawrence. And we might have to just look, for admittedly a lesser quarterback.
Or this might mean a very high-quality player
with, and if there's not one in the draft, well, then we'll just have to stick with Teddy. But, we don't want to be the Dolphins and then get a quarterback taken by the Jets, a team that is truly bad. So anyway, guys. Wow.
Good call.
There it is.
Good call is, a lot of this is not going to be dependent upon us. I mean, think about it. What did we win last year? How many games did we win? Six? Yeah, something like that. 6 or 7. Yeah. And we were 7th pick, so we weren't that far out. You have to be really bad. I don't want to watch that football to get a number 1 pick. So the other thing is that the good news about this is he's absolutely right, is that the Jets are just awful. The Giants are not much better. In fact, and they did get their franchise quarterback in Daniel Jones,
Darnold.
Which
yeah,
and right now he's not looking that great. He just threw a pass high. They did not convert on 3rd down. He receiver should have.
4th down, yeah.
Oh, it was. The receiver should have caught it probably though. But still, is that so? You got a lot of there's. It's not going to, just like this year, there was a lot of quarterback-hungry teams, and we're going to have that next year. And if the worst part of that is not getting the quarterback, the number 1 pick, the good news about that is those teams push down arguably players that are more of a lock at their position than some of these quarterback prospects, and you get a franchise left tackle, you get a shutdown corner, you get a Chase Young that gets pushed down to you. So I think right now the things is, and that's where the caller earlier from Colorado is right, is that you just got to draft the right way. So it's not about getting the first pick all the time. And how many teams have had the first pick? Here's the thing is, I mean, you can pick the guy, if Trevor Lawrence is it, if Justin Fields is it, you pick him. But there is no, look, Andrew Luck was the most surefire prospect in the last 30 years, it felt like. Everybody said that he was going to be and he got the benefit of doubt on everything. And he's not even in the league anymore, dude.
Yeah.
So, good calls tonight.
For sure.
All right, guys. So hear me out. Say we win about, 6-7 games, end up with like the 8th pick in the draft, and it puts us out of the running for one of the top quarterbacks. Would you guys be open to trading McCaffrey along with our pick to get a higher pick, maybe the 1st overall pick? It would definitely be something that would upset the fan base for sure. But if you really think that you have an opportunity to get a franchise quarterback, that is so much more important than, having a franchise running back. As you can tell by, what Mike Davis has been able to do in the couple of weeks that he's been the running back. I don't know, just my thoughts. Wonder what you guys thought. Keep on it.
It's an interesting conversation to have, but we have to have it closer to draft day at this point. And, is that what you don't want to do is it's a fine line, man. It's a fine line between this is not having the guts to go and get the guy you want. That's one thing, but it depends on how much it costs, right? And in some ways, you're sitting there, if you can't get your franchise quarterback and somebody else, much like we were this year, is we were open. A lot of the ideas were thinking about trading back, and trying to get multiple starters.
Yeah, last year we did.
Right at the beginning. And the other thing is, again, like we have to be. I know that people love scouting college players into the NFL, but I'm pretty sure that Kinlaw dude. Wasn't it like a defensive tackle? We were like, oh, well, we could have traded back and not gotten Derek Brown, and we could have gotten this Kinlaw dude from whatever. And I don't think he's working out well for the San Francisco 49ers right at the moment. So it's a fine line between not having the guts to move up to get the player that you believe can really do something for your organization, overpaying for that, or feeling pushed back into that corner. Right now, I think it's about continuing to just do things in the kind of the Matt Rule cliche, the right way, and that is, if anything, you know what, I'm more interested in kind of navigating up in the second and third rounds to get the guy we want, rather than letting a guy fall to us or hoping that a guy falls to us. That, to me, I always feel like it costs so much to move up. And and you know what? It doesn't always work. I mean, the Jets did it. Who else has done it? I feel like the Browns have done it. The Jets have done it.
Didn't we do it a while ago?
No,
didn't we sell the farm to go up in the draft and pick somebody that didn't work out? It was a defensive player.
We did, and it was we moved up to get Jeff Otah, I believe, and to do that we had to give up our first round pick the next year, and then that was back in man, that's been a long time, dude. It's been like 2007 or something like that. And then we got Everett Brown. That was the guy you're thinking of.
Everett Brown, yeah.
And he was supposed to be, and we had to pick him in the second round. We didn't have a first round pick. And I don't know, did we trade back into the first to get him that year? I can't remember. But he didn't work out. Yeah, so you got to be careful with those things, right? Broncos moved up for Lynch. The Bears, those things. Matt Rule says you got to do it the right way. You hope it's not just a cliche, and I don't think it is. But you also have to not be like Gettleman was at times, and that's too stubborn to do the right thing, too scared or too cheap, or in his case, thinking he was smarter than everybody else. That's Dave Gettleman's problem right there. Is he 100%. Thinks he's smarter than everybody. All right, I think this is the last call of the night, 252-228-5098.
What's going on, C3 Nation?
Yo, what's up?
Jay Anderson.
What's up, Jay?
Beating y'all up, man. That was a good game. The offense, they moved the ball. That's what I like to see. That's what I wanted to see. They spread it, they moved it. They mixed in the run and everything. Man, that's what I like to see. I thought the defense played good. I ain't got, they only got 1 sack, but it doesn't matter. They played good defense. That's why I like to see. Hopefully they can do this against the Falcons. It'll be the Falcons. It'll be the Falcons Super Bowl because they want to win. It seems like they get up on us. When they play us, they get up on us. So hopefully we'll see that, against the Falcons. I like the way the boys play. Keep pounding. I'll let your boys.
All right, good call. Yeah, a good call to wrap it up too is and I think this has been the mantra of the show, and it's been kind of my mantra for a long time, and that is getting better week to week. And like you said, CK, the stage does not look too big for them. Yes, the Panthers moved to 2-2 with an opportunity to get on the winning side of football against the Falcons. Are the Falcons a team? Look, is that now? I tell you this: is the Falcons' offense has been very effective this year.
Yeah,
it's just so we have to find a way to get to Matt Ryan and to not get torched. That's the key, 100%. And maybe that's like we did a little bit today. Grinding out the time of possession, man. The best way to beat that offense is to not have them on the field. So, all right, guys, C3 Panthers podcast live Tuesday night. This week we got a good guest coming on. We've got the Falcons beat writer for The Athletic, Tori. Oh, no, I don't want to mispronounce her last name. Tori McElney. Tori McElney, beat writer for the Falcons. For The Athletic is going to come on to help us preview this matchup, our second division game of the season. We'll have your calls, 252-228-5098, the most lit chat room. Cody Lashley in the chat room. He'll be back on Tuesday. And That's it, man. CK, what are you streaming these days?
Facebook.com. It's going to be Codizzle Allen. It's most nights at 10 o'clock. Only times I deviate are like last night. We had a wedding to go to, and Tuesday nights when I'm doing this right here. Sometimes we are a little off schedule there. We typically, depending upon how late the podcast goes, I'll be on Tuesday nights as well. But yeah, you guys can catch me there. And other than that, I'll see you guys Tuesday night.
All right. At @cat_chronicles on Twitter. Make sure you sub up. We're on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify. Audio syndicated after that. Picking with the Professor on Wednesday. And most weeks, scouting the opponent team. I got to line up another interview. I did not get a second interview last week, but working on the Falcons one. I got some Falcon connections, so we'll figure it out soon. Guys, we'll be here Tuesday night. Thanks for the support. Go Panthers. It's nice to be to not be depressed. It's nice to have a win. And
Absolutely.
This is 2 in a row. One more, it's a streak.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yep, let's do it. Keep pounding.